Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am the Grateful Queen and I sell pre-owned clothes on both eBay and Poshmark. So this is a channel all about reselling online. I have some other videos that you're welcome to check out that talk about a little bit about me and how I got into reselling and how much I love it, and a little bit about what I'm working on in my business as a reseller. Hopefully we can support each other on this channel and learn from each other. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. This is a video all about death piles. If you're new to the reselling world, you might not know what a death pile is, so let me tell you. A death pile is what we call unlisted inventory, like in these bins over here. So as resellers, we go to places like thrift stores and Goodwill outlets and yard sales, and we buy things to resell. For me, it's clothing and shoes, mostly women's fashion. And a death pile is all the things that we bought to resell, but we haven't listed. It's not good. It's money sitting around, it's unfinished work, and it definitely takes a toll on all of us. So I want to talk a little bit about death piles and what I'm currently working on. So why would we even have death piles? Why not just everything that we buy, we list it and we resell it on Poshmark or eBay or Mercari or wherever else you sell? Well, it's not quite that simple because I've been doing this since 2011 and I tend to always have some level of death pile sitting around waiting to be listed. So I've been trying to think about how to avoid this and how to get better at it. And I think the first step is understanding for yourself as a reseller how things end up in your death pile sitting unlisted. And what I've figured out for myself is that the biggest reason why I have items sitting around unlisted, like in some of these bins here, is because I go to list the item and it has a flaw. And instead of just putting it in a pile to redonate back to the Goodwill or to put into my closet, I put it in my death pile and I tell myself, you know what, all you have to do is sew this little hole back together. It just needs a little work. Or this has a stain, but maybe if I scrub it, it will come out. So I put it in a pile. You know what the other big one is for me? Sweaters and pilling. I hate depilling sweaters. Some of you guys, I think, love it because I listen to your videos and you'll hold up a sweater you bought that's super cute. It's a good brand and you're like, it just needs a little sweater shaving. It's not that hard to do, but I won't do it. Most of the time, I won't sit there and do it. I'll throw it in a pile and I'll say, oh, this is the stuff that needs work. I'll get to it later. And sometimes the pile grows and grows, which is not good for our business. So flawed items are a huge reason things end up in my death pile. What about you? What is in your death pile right now and why is it there? I think that if we get really honest with ourselves about this, we can improve our businesses. Another reason I have things in my death pile I've realized is because something won't have a size tag. That's a really common one for me. So I'll get an item. I like the style of the item. It's a good brand, but I get it home and realize it has no size tag. And that's kind of a pain because what you have to do is guesstimate what you think it is, note in your listing there's no size tag, I think it might be a small or medium. Usually you have to provide measurements. So there's extra work involved, or sometimes I'll say to myself, Q, why don't you put this aside for now and then look up, say it's a Bowden top, go onto the Bowden website and compare the bust and length and find out what size that is. Is it a 6 or an 8? Some brands don't even do small, medium, large. They do like 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'll put it in the pile and think, I want to keep myself in the flow, taking my pictures or listing or whatever I'm doing. I'll deal with this later. And it sits there and the pile grows and grows and grows. I'm so curious if any of you other resellers have the same experience. There's a term for it, death pile. So I imagine you do. But I'm curious if you've asked yourself, why do things for me in particular end up in death piles? Because maybe this isn't the reason for you. Maybe yours are totally different, but I think it's worth knowing the reason for you. Another one that I'm coming to terms with just recently, just within the last like 6 months, as I'm trying to really build my business and put into it more, is simply just not liking an item. Not liking an item and not wanting to photograph it and list it and hang out with it for a few minutes is a reason enough for it to end up sitting around as unlisted inventory. Iced coffee, my fave. I live in Northern California. We've had a super rainy winter. Finally, it's in the high 70s and the sun is out, which means iced coffee time is back, and I'm so happy. So good. So those are some reasons for me. I'm curious what reason for you. Oh, I have one more that I thought of. Damaged item. I don't like the item, has no size tag, needs some work. The other one for me is I realize it's just not worth that much money. Like maybe I bought something and then when I check comps, I realize this is only like worth maybe $10, $12. Lately, I haven't even been wanting to deal with that item because I have limited time. I do this part-time. So I've been, like I'll sometimes put the $12 item aside and just focus on the things I think I can get $20 to $30 for or more. So that item gets put aside. And then I realize, is it worth my time? Is it worth my time to get it out, maybe steam it, hang it on the hanger, take pictures of it, sit down and list it, wrap it in a bag to file it in my inventory, sell it and ship it? Is that worth it if I'm only going to make $10? Every reseller gets to figure that out for themselves. Sometimes the answer to that is yes, for different reasons. Maybe you flip a ton of stuff and you love $10 all day long. Maybe you sell 50 $10 items a day and you're totally rocking that. That's awesome. You get to do it that way. This is just what I'm working on right now. So if I think it's only worth $10, but another thing sometimes is it's good to have some low dollar items in there, 10 or 12, to maybe get people to your store because they'll think, oh, she's got some low prices. Let's check out my store's Grateful Queen. Let's check it out. And then maybe they'll see some other things that cost more, but they really like and they'll buy it. So a low price item can be used strategically. But I notice for me right now with what I'm working on in my business is I'll sometimes say, I don't want to deal with that item. I just want to list $20, $30 items. So it sits in my death pile. So I think it's worth thinking about what it is for you. If you don't have any death piles sitting around, can you talk to us about that? Will you educate us and tell us how you kick the habit? I'm really trying to kick it now or at least minimize it. And I've been doing really good because I've been working on this. Some of the ways I'm working to minimize death piles is, and let me know if any of these things help you or you've got something to offer. I'd love to hear it. But for me right now in my business, something I'm doing to minimize death piles is taking more time when I'm outsourcing at the thrift store. Taking more time to do my quality control, which means take the extra 30 seconds to look over the item and make sure it does not have flaws or it does not have work that you need to do on it. If it's a top, look under the armpits. Is there like wear under there that you're going to have to spray, maybe scrub and wash? I don't want to deal with that. I'll pass. Look at the buttons. Is there a button missing? Is the size tag cut out? Is there staining around the collar? Look at the cuffs on tops. A lot of times on tops, maybe I don't know what people do. Their wrists sweat or they put it in their coffee. I have no idea, but a lot of tops that are long sleeve have staining on the wrist. I'm trying to get better at my quality control when I'm in the thrift store. I'm trying to get better at knowing my minimum price. Sometimes I'll buy something, I'm like, oh, I love this item. It's so cute. It's a tank top. It's Old Navy. It's got a great print. But if I want to sell things for $20 and higher, which I did a whole video about, you're welcome to check it out, about why in my business right now I'm trying to shoot for $20 or more. Every reseller gets to figure that out for themselves, but I have a video on that. If you're interested, check it out. I think it's called something like, how much are you really making per item? Super simple math just to make sure that you are buying items that are at your price point. So I'm trying to do that more. Pass up on items that I know I've sold in the past for $15, but I'm trying to make a little bit more per item. And like I said, I'm trying not to buy things I don't like. This is a challenge for me, but I'm really working on it. Because if I don't love the item, I'm more likely to put it aside in one of these bins for future listing. Death pile, death pile. Okay? So my other suggestion, and something I'm working on personally that maybe you'll want to try, is to seriously go through your death piles And I'm talking about two kinds of death piles right now. I'm talking about the ones you have of unlisted inventory and also the ones that are in your store. And I don't know what a term for that could be. I haven't heard anybody talk about it in this way, but I've been going through my death piles of unlisted inventory and holding every item up and saying, are you really going to list this? If not, bye-bye. It's going back to Goodwill. It was a bad purchase. Bye. Or I'm putting it in my pile and saying, get this item listed. It can't just sit around here. If it's an item that needs work and I'm not going to work on it, get honest with myself, redonate it. It was a mistake. So I'm being kind of cutthroat doing that. But the other stuff I'm dealing with, and I have other videos on this if you're interested, how to improve your store, is I'm going through my store, my eBay store and Poshmark. I'm looking at things that have been sitting around for a long time and haven't sold. I call those like stale inventory. eBay doesn't like items that have sat around and not sold for a while. They don't get promoted, I don't think. They're hard to sell. I am going through my store and I am deleting those listings and reassessing. I have right here, I'll show you, sorry if the video quality gets bad, but I will show you 2 completely full bins of inventory that I had listed in my store, and I pulled it out because it's been sitting there for a long time. It hasn't sold, it's stale, or I'm looking at my listing and saying, these pictures suck. These are not good photos. No one's going to buy that most likely, or you're not going to claim the price the item deserves because it's not pictured well. I pulled it all out of my inventory. It's been a ton of work. Let me show you. Let me see if I can. So these are 2 full bins of inventory that I've already done all the work to picture and list, put in these bags, put in my inventory system. I have one overfull bin and another one. 2 bins of items that I had previously listed in my store that I just pulled out. And now I need to go through these bins and say, Q, is this worth listing? Is it worth listing? Are you going to make the money you want on it? Is it worth your time? If not, it's going to the Goodwill and back to the Goodwill or whatever place you donate to. I don't care if it's name brand Goodwill or some other church thrift store or whatever, but it's leaving. If it's a good item, like this one I just held up. This is a brand called Cotton On. And that's a good brand. People like it. I sell a decent amount of it. Usually, I mean, it doesn't sell super fast, but it sells in the price point I want, 20 to 30. This is a blue and white striped maxi dress. Perfect for the season, kind of nautical. People love that stuff in summertime. This should have sold, but I think I had bad pictures. And so people didn't take the time to look at the listing. So I'm going to take it out of the bag and just put it in my to-list pile. So that's a lot of work for me right there. That's over 100 items that I pulled. And this is my second round of doing that. Here's the reason I think it's worth doing. You might be like, wow, that's crazy. Just mark it down. But I don't think it's worth marking it down. I don't think it's going to get the attention it needs because it's stale. It's been sitting there for too long unsold. And every once in a while, I'll sell an item I've had in my store forever. But I want to move things quicker than that, and I want my store to look good. I don't want old pictures. I don't want bad listings. So I'm totally cleaning it all up. That's what I'm working on right now. I'd love it if you were interested in that and you wanted to join me and we could support each other in that. It's a lot of work, but I'm hoping to put better quality items, pictures, listings in my store from now on, because I think if I do that, I can get the price I want for it. I think I'll have more sales, and I think I'll have higher price sales. That's what's up. Over here with the death piles, what's your experience with death piles? Do you have any tips, any ideas, anything that could help anybody else in the reseller community? Please share it in a comment below. I would love to reply, get a conversation going about this. And I wish you luck in dealing with your death piles. As you can tell, I have a lot of work to do myself, but I'm totally motivated to do it right now. I totally want to make a great eBay store and Poshmark closet, and I think it's worth the time. Even though I'm only a part-time reseller, I want to have a really good store that I love. So, hope you're having great sales. Hope you took anything from this video. I'd love to hear from you. Please like the video, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!